All right, welcome to the 12 o'clock show with Mayor Joe on a special Tuesday edition. Tuesday edition here. Thankfully, Councilman Stacie Baker is going to be joining us today, so we made a couple of changes to fit his schedule. But we're really happy to have you here today. A little Van Halen to start us off because of the recent passing of the great guitarist Eddie Van Halen, so we do appreciate that. Just kind of a good way to start things off. So right now is always a fun one. I got a lot of big topics coming up. Obviously, the first one is the water bill. Yeah, we know. We know that there are issues. First of all, in all seriousness, if you do actually have issues with your water bill, if you're concerned about the cost, if you're seeing a different spike, things like that, the best thing to do is actually contact us here at the city. You do need to call the water department, send us an email, make sure that we have the actual address so we can pick up your file and take a look at it and see what the concerns are. Sometimes it is about increased consumption, being home because of COVID. People don't realize that if you're home significantly more, every time you run the dishwasher or do a load of laundry or flush the toilet, it's going to change things. Beyond that, if it's something other than that, if it's a potential where there's a leak or some other kind of concern, then it'll help us adjust it because we can go back and check your water usage. Now, we are in the process, and COVID has kind of delayed some of it, putting new meter readers on everybody's meters in the city of Reynoldsburg. And what this will do is this allows us to kind of do a daily, hourly, or even every 5 minutes if we wanted to, a ping of water usage, so we could have a better idea of how much water you're actually consuming on a daily basis, which would actually help us even change some of our billing structures from every 3 months to every 1 month. You are able to pay on a monthly basis, but you have to make sure that you talk to the water department to get on that schedule. We're ready to work with you. We want to do some things. We obviously don't want to turn the water off, but there are certain things that are out there. And then I know that unfortunately, council is going to be asked most likely early next year. It looks like the Columbus Water Department is going to be raising rates yet again. We don't know exactly what those are going to be. But that's something that is outside of the control of the city of Reynoldsburg. Now, whether or not we do anything as far as we ask for any additional things with that, I don't believe we're going to go in that direction this year. We're going to kind of keep things status quo outside of whatever Columbus decides to increase on. But there's not a lot of options that we can have in that. But there are certain things out there that we can do to help everybody for their water bill. So if you have questions, please call us or email us here at City Hall. I know Councilman Baker has gotten a couple of calls and some contact information about that, and we were able to handle that particular individual. So that's been taken care of. But again, it's a lot of times it's not trying to say don't call your council members. That's what they're there for. They can help facilitate the conversation. But the quickest, easiest way is to contact us here at City Hall by phone, not by Facebook. We do also have some other fun news. The CARES Act. We are in the process of accepting applications for our round 2. We're accepting applications until the 16th, this Friday, close of business, so make sure you turn in your applications. So far, we have awarded a total of $138,729 and the all-important 27 cents. So we've been able to do that. We've got a couple of more spots to drop off over the next few days. We're going to be going out to Hart Food Pantry a little bit later today and some other businesses as we kind of progress through the week, and then we'll review the next batch of applications and try and get those in there as we close out this part. It has been a great thing for some businesses. They've been able to do a lot of things to help their bottom line and to help their small business and their employees as we kind of go through. So that's a good thing. We do have some pictures for code enforcement. I know Councilman Baker loves code enforcement. So we're going to start off with something that's kind of easy, but believe it or not, it does become somewhat of an issue. If you can see here, you can see the sidewalk, and then you can see the kind of the bushes on the side of it. Not everybody wants to dodge and hustle when they're walking down the sidewalk with their dogs. So the very simple thing is we make sure that homeowners take care of their property, and so they do some polite tree trimming. Now, this is just one aspect of it. We hope to actually have a broadcast in the not too distant future showing proper ways to kind of take care of some of your trees that might be out there. We have this over on the 256. You can kind of recognize that area right there. You can see all the bushes and trees and shrubbery and things like that that needed to be cleaned up. So again, you can see how much that's all cleared out, very similar to what we talked about a few weeks ago. Now we've got some issues with some parking in terms of some of the parking lot structures here. You can see it's kind of faded out. And again, this is not too far from where we're at. So again, there you go. It's all about repaving and making those sidewalks and parking lots and all of that look the way that they are supposed to, and then we can continue to maintain them. This is not too far off from here. This is also at another local business. And again, the routine maintenance and taking care of some of these businesses to make sure that their parking lots are taken care of is a good thing. Now, this one is obviously a big one. You can see this is not just a little bit of a resurfing, but this is a major reconstruct of the area from that. So you can kind of look in here, and that property owner is taking care of his property as far as where the cars are going to be coming in. Sometimes it's about taking care of your electrical equipment. You can kind of see here, I'm not an electrical expert, but I'm pretty sure that that's not in code. So you want to make sure that those kind of things are taken care of. And again, not a difficult thing. It's just a lot of times it's maintaining kind of the process that we're supposed to. We've got some damaged fencing here. So first step obviously is going to go ahead and fix the fencing, and then after that, paint the fence is the next one. Again, another example of just some of the local parking lots from some of the businesses in the area. You want to make sure that those things are taken care of. It's easier. This is a little bit more in depth. You actually have some real reconstruction going on here. You have some pipe work being laid down, things like that, again, to help with some of the flow in the water. And then you can see there it's just a lot cleaner, a lot neater, and then that way it helps take care of some of the water flow all the way across. And then last but not least, again, another one of our parking lots. And shameless plug, the French Bakery is right there. If you haven't been there, you got to go there. It's really, really good. So make sure you do. Go ahead and do that.
Yeah, my doctor prohibited me from going back in there.
Yeah, it's not a good thing for those of us that are trying to watch sugar and whatnot, because everything there is made pretty much with sugar. And, yeah, it's really good.
It'll get you hooked.
So that's code enforcement. Obviously, we are going to be looking to have the town hall meeting on code enforcement. We're just going to try and work on some dates. Council Chambers has the the camera in now, and so we can actually have it and broadcast it out as well as welcome people in-house. So we're just going to wait and make sure that we get everything worked out and all the kinks taken care of so we can have this broadcast, and then we'll have a date for the code enforcement meeting, kind of doing some of the things that we've talked about before, letting everybody know what to look forward to as the weather's changing. Again, the real simple things is, ladies and gentlemen, when the leaves fall off your trees, please don't brush them into the streets. Two things. One is obviously we've talked about them getting in our storm sewers and prohibiting some of the flow of water. And then the last time I mentioned this, somebody mentioned how dangerous it is for those that ride motorcycles. So you want to make sure you take care of those that are riding motorcycles out because there's not a lot of time left for people to ride motorcycles because eventually winter will be here. So we want to make sure that everybody's safe with that, with the code enforcement. Got a couple of quick announcements about some events coming up, and then we'll turn it over to Councilman Baker. Believe it or not, next week, the first annual Mulligan Golf Classic is going to be held to support Heart Food Pantry and the Reynoldsburg Education Foundation. It's going to be starting Monday, October 19th through Friday, October 23rd. The cost is $90 for 18 rounds of golf, 18 holes of golf, and a golf cart and a sandwich. So I know you play. You got a group yet?
Working on it.
Working on it?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to contribute to it because it is for a great cause. And I was really about to jump up when you said for 18 rounds of golf.
No,
I was like, that's a heck of a deal.
That would be a good deal. Now, my family and some friends of ours, we went out to Topgolf in preparation to, actually go out. And I just realized that my talents do really lie in other areas. And I'm sorry about the people that might have been injured at the golf. Yeah. Anyway, we also have the second annual Lions Club Silent Auction. That's this Thursday night, the 15th at 6 p.m. at the Summit Lions Club on Summit Road, 7600 Summit Road. It's $15 a ticket, which includes a meal, a door prize ticket, and a bid card. So I know there's some cool things out there. I think that there's going to be some ticket options, and they've got some really cool items up for auction out there. So I know April Darling is working hard on that one, so we're going to get that. So those are all the big announcements for the day. So we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Councilman Stacie Baker. First of all, as with everyone else, it's a different world. So how are you and your family dealing with all this COVID-19?
Doing good. Last month, for the first time since February, we actually took our kids into the grocery store. Mm-hmm.
On purpose?
Well, kind of on purpose. It's get them out to experience things that they did before COVID, and it was like taking them to Disney World. So yeah, it was a lot of get over here, don't touch that, put that down, stop pushing your sister, and the typical things. Mm-hmm. And so, and now the kids, both of the kids, like to ride on the cart, not in the cart. So it's like, it reminds me of that Christmas commercial. No, I'm sorry, the back to school commercial where the parent was gliding up and down the aisle on the cart. Yeah, that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
So,
but I've been known to do that once or twice myself.
Especially during Halloween was what I've been told.
Yep.
So it's gradually getting back, but we're still in a pandemic, and like everybody else, I can't wait for it to end. But right now, we're still dealing with it, and just take one day at a time, and that's all you can do. Mm-hmm. And so that's basically how we're handling it. Trying to find alternate ways to continue to do things and not get cabin fever by staying at house all the time. Mm-hmm. Winter is upon us, so there's going to be plenty of time for that.
Yeah. Well, you, in addition to your role as city councilman, you have a unique position because you help out with the Southwest Licking Fire Department, mm-hmm. correct? So could you tell us a little bit about that, and if you have any big news on that front for the fire department out there?
Okay, for both. So I am the Reynoldsburg representative on the West Joint Licking County Fire Board. And basically, we represent all of West Licking County, all the way from the county line near New Albany, all the way down here to the county line of 70, and which is a large area. And so, what we do is make sure that operations are running smooth and that we're fully funded, so our fire departments, our firefighters can go out and serve the community. And one of the things that I'm proud to say and announce that there will be a new firehouse being built on Taylor Road, right across the street from the old one, because it's very inefficient in space. And I did take a tour of Fire Station 404, and our firefighters deserve better accommodations than a storefront property. So I'm glad to help lead the charge on getting a new permanent fire station that could house up to 8 firefighters, because we want to have the opportunity to grow with continued growth in West Licking County. I mean, there's the Facebook facility that's being built up near New Albany, which from what I understand is going to be a 5-story building now. Mm-hmm. And you also have a bunch of economic development going on in Etna Township. There's a big one that's going to be happening right there off of Route 40 and 310, which is going to have housing, condos, mixed-use development, and various other things that are going to be happening. And so there's growth. Even though we are in a pandemic, there are parts of Reynoldsburg and parts of Licking County that has continued to grow. Amazon is building another fulfillment center mm-hmm. up near New Albany, and there's other industrial buildings being built just in between Mink and Summit Road. So we have to be prepared for our current situation, but we also have to be mindful for growth that's going to happen in the current situation that our firefighters on Taylor Road are in. It's not the best, so this will help move us in that direction to where we can continue our great services right now and increase services. And so I'm happy for that to be coming here, and not sometime next year, basically.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We took a tour of the site, what seems like it was probably about a month ago now. Mm-hmm. And it's just in an area that the city's happy to partner with. It's actually going to be at very limited cost to the fire department, because what we're going to do is it's gifting the land, because there's nothing else can really go on that particular section, so it helps out the firefighters. But what a lot of us are excited about here is we're going to be able to institute a bike path, so that way we can make some connectivity, so you can walk or ride your bicycle from Taylor Road, and we're going to get it to a point where it's connected to the Wagner Road Middle School and Junior High at some point in time. It'll probably be the junior high as we kind of get a little bit closer to that. So that's just another way to bring some connectivity that will coincide with our Wagner Road project that we're hoping to get started in 2023. So those are a couple of good things. Outside of that, because that's exciting, that's right. That's not too far from where I live. It's a stone's throw through it. I think anytime that you can help the firefighters out and have a little bit more responsiveness in there, bring in those firefighting jobs into the city of Reynoldsburg itself, which will be a good thing. Anytime you do that is a benefit to us. What other things that you're looking at as we move forward now with some of the challenges that face Reynoldsburg? Obviously COVID has been its own thing, but where do you see us? What do I need to work on, basically?
My coach always say, never just settle for the status quo. Always continue to try to strive for more. And we all know that economic development is the big topic going around, especially during COVID. And that's one thing that I look forward to continue to partner with Mayor Begney on that front. We do have a new library coming. I do want to put that out there. Me and Councilwoman Bryant help steer that this way, because there was talks by the library board about building a new library here in Reynoldsburg, but they were looking a little more down the road. But after discussions with me and Councilwoman Bryant, it's been about a year ago, they up the timeline, and so we'll be having that soon. They're already making preparations for it. I did tell them I want a library like the one that they built in Dublin, but I don't think that land is going to be big enough for that. But it will be a very nice library once we get the renderings, and very needed. That library was built in the mid-'80s, I believe, and so it served its purpose, and it's time for an upgrade. Right now, another thing is working on is partnering with the city of Columbus. We all know that city of Columbus is around us, and so partnering with them to bring in economic development our way, especially along the Bryce Road corridor. That's been a hot topic for some years now, and I'm one of those people that I don't want to just talk about it. I want to do it. I don't want to hear, well, we can't do this and why we can't do it. I want to hear, yes, we can do this, and let's try to make it happen. So working with the city of Columbus with sprucing up Bryce Road and making it into some sort of economic entertainment hub or something like that. One of the things that we're working on with city of Columbus is the retention pond that's right there near Main and Bryce Road. It is the city of Columbus, and we've been in talks with them to try to either partner with them or letting them annex it to us so we can turn it into something that the community can use. And not just for the Reynoldsburg community, but also the Columbus residents, because it does straddle that line. And so that's one of the big things that I've been working on, along with Mayor Begney and others in the administration, to get a good partnership. There's never been a partnership. It's always just been Columbus and us. Well, now it should be Columbus and Reynoldsburg together. And I think that will be a great partnership, not just for now, but down the road, when I'm in the wheelchair, moving along. But, and also, I do want to mention this. Well, two things I want to mention is sidewalks. I brought it up at council meeting the other day about the sidewalks being put in on Main Street, and hopefully that will continue all the way to the boundary line. And I've said this from day one since I've been on council, is there is no excuse or no rhyme or reason why any part of the city of Reynoldsburg should not have sidewalks. And I hold true to that. And so working with Mayor Begney and Mr. Dorman, we can make that happen. I know Councilman Paccarell and I had a discussion about that. And so with everybody jumping on board, that could be something that could be achieved. And I do want to go back to when you mentioned monies for the Heart Food Pantry, which was very, very needed by the food pantry. I remember I went there to drop off voter registration forms, and it was on the day that they were giving out food to the community. And that line stretched from Heart Food Bank all the way down to Bryson Main Street. And that right there is just a small fraction of the need that the food pantry needs, and all the other nonprofits that service the community. And so I was glad that the city was able to give them money to help residents, and not just our residents, but residents on the east side, because they do service not just us, but a lot of other areas too. So for us to step up and say, we will help you, is a big positive.
Well, a couple of good things with it, especially when it comes to you talk about the sidewalks, is there's some, I guess you could say, sidewalks to nowhere right now. The one that is most commonly referred to is from Palmer Road to the 5-way interchange past the Livingston House. So that's going to be something that we're taking a look at for next year to get that done. And when you mention sidewalks, other sidewalks, the property that's across from the cemetery on Main Street, the idea is whatever property eventually comes in there, one of those requirements is going to be that they're going to have that pathway, that they're going to have the sidewalks. And so hopefully the goal is to extend it so you can walk from the corner of Taylor and Main Street and you can get all the way to Wagner Road on those sidewalks. That's the ultimate goal, and we are working on that. But again, it's that economic development piece. As fast as things can be moving with us at times, there's a lot of hurry up and wait, so we're hoping to have some movement in that area and some other ones as we go forward. But definitely the sidewalks are a big thing. So my favorite part is always when we get questions. Do we have any fun questions?
We do. We have 2 questions. The first one comes, it's from...
No, you can't leave till after you answer the question.
Not after I hear the question?
No, you got to stick around for that.
I just want to know.
It says, hello, this is Adita, and my question is about the new library. When should we expect the new library, and how has the pandemic affected it?
The pandemic has affected it just like a lot of other things. It's slowed down a lot of the process, though the process for the library has been continuing, not at this full speed that we was hoping, but because of COVID it slowed down. I do believe over the next year or two they're going to be tearing down the old one, and right next to it they bought the property and the building. They'll be tearing down that one and we'll be building a new library on that site, and then the one where the old site is will be parking space. And so hopefully in the early 2022, I'm hoping that we can get some sort of renderings and stuff like that next year. So I'm looking from the lease break ground in 2022, and hopefully have it built in 2022. But COVID has just really slowed a lot of things down, and we just gotta kind of hold on just a little longer.
Yeah, in a pre-COVID world, they were actually talking about knocking down the buildings this October, like right now, but COVID has kind of delayed that. So we'll look into it and make sure everybody's updated. But I know that they want to get something started in the not too distant future.
Okay, we have 2 questions from Dolene Williams. Her first one is, do we need an ad hoc traffic innovation committee so we can be sure to be very proactive and innovative about solutions to manage traffic that will result from all the development around us? If we become the epicenter of bad traffic, is it going to negatively impact the value of homes and moving to Reynoldsburg?
Actually, we have a traffic committee that has been established. The council helped establish the community commissions. We're actually having our next meeting tomorrow night at 7 p.m. And one of the committees is a traffic committee, which actually is going to be looking at those things. So those are things that are out there for it, because obviously we do have to pay attention to it. Now, some of the traffic studies are more concerned at this initial stage with the amount of speeding that goes on in certain neighborhoods and things like that. But as we move forward with this particular committee, obviously we're going to be looking at how does future development impact us, whether it's be on Wagner Road, on Main Street, on Bryce Road, on Livingston, anywhere where we're going to be working with that development is to make sure that we maintain it. One great thing is that we have a partnership with MORPC and ODOT to help repave Main Street for next year. So Main Street, while it is going to be miserable next year, it will be for the benefit in the long term, especially when it comes to some of the traffic things. We actually had a meeting just the other day with some of the businesses that are located on Main Street in Old Town to kind of prepare them for what's coming, so they're aware of it and how some of the benefits will be there. But those are things we'll be discussing with our committee as well. So I appreciate the question, and there's always still time to join any of the particular committees if anyone out there is interested.
Her second question says, can you give an update on the health of the YMCA and the impact on the city budget?
Yeah. Two different questions. The health of the YMCA, believe it or not, our YMCA has gained a few members. Obviously there was a huge drop off with COVID, but they're starting to bring back some different members right now. They're also opening up some of their classes as well. They're going to be having some more offerings. And so the more people that are able to go out and participate, that's when you start to see that kind of grow. The hours really haven't changed yet. Pretty sure the outdoor pool is not nearly as popular now as what it once was just a little while ago. But the indoor pool is still busy, but I know that they're adding things for that. As far as the city budget is concerned, obviously it's had a very big impact on us. We have pretty much at the outset of the COVID issues, we put a freeze on any future hiring. There were some that were backfilled positions that had been open, but that was about it. We froze wages as far as raises and things like that, starting July 1 and things of that nature. And pretty much any major project that had not already been in process was halted immediately. So the auditor's office and I worked very hard with all of our directors to make sure that we're just kind of making sure that our basic city services are taken care of. We are actually in the budgeting process for next year. I hope to have a budget of some sort, be it interim or otherwise, for council's first look in the first meeting in November. Had some meetings with that basically this week and last week. It's going to be a little bit different because cities, as you know, our revenues are dictated by income tax. We get a very, very little money when it comes to property taxes. Your property taxes go to the school district, so that's not something that really impacts us. So when you're talking about certain developments, whether they be apartment complexes, townhomes, or anything else like that, we don't get the revenue in the city for that. The income tax we do, which is why we're again focused on businesses. But with the downturn in the economy and with the limited ability we have to use some of our COVID funding for revenue replacement, obviously next year's budget is going to be scaled back, possibly as much as 10% from last year. So you're looking at a significant difference. But we're going to find a way to get through it. We're going to make sure we maintain those city services. We're going to make sure that we do some of those fun things. Last night, council was nice enough to go ahead and authorize us for working with our entertainment group for production and entertainers, so we can get somebody some headlining act for our Tomato Festival in 2021, because that's the goal. My personal goal with that is to find an artist that we can bring in that when you hear the name, you don't just go, what song did they have or what song did she have? It's something where you actually know a couple of them. We want to have somebody that you're like, okay, that's what it is. It's a couple of different names. So we're in the process of working on that right now. That's moving through with council. So I know Councilman Baker is ready and willing for a lot of that.
Comes through my committee, so I'm going to make sure that we have a good act.
That's what. Yes, absolutely.
I want the one where you got to camp out the night before to try to get a good spot. But I'm not trying to break the city bank, but I want us, especially after COVID and having to cancel this year. I think the residents deserve some quality entertainment, and so we will work our best ability to make sure that there's going to be quality entertainment, whether it's an act singing on the stage or games and stuff like that, because I want quality over quantity.
Yeah, I think that I'm really hopeful for next year. Obviously COVID notwithstanding, I think we'll be living in a different time next year. Want to have a lot of fun with it, so we're already working on it. Believe it or not, 2021 is not that far away anymore. So, and I appreciate council's support in that. Any other fun questions?
Well, Dolene has just asking for a little bit more clarification. She's wanting to know about the impact of the YMCA on the city budget in light of the COVID effect on the membership.
The YMCA and the city we are separate entities. So the YMCA has no impact on the city budget. That's particular. They run their own establishment, so that's how that goes. So if whatever they're doing as far as anything, it's not impacting the city budget.
That's all we have for right now.
All right.
Well, I do want to mention, if city finances are a little strained next year, I don't mind grabbing a microphone and, well, never mind.
No.
Because the last time somebody gave me a microphone to start singing, they threw me out, and this was at church. I mean, I'm just saying.
I think council might have to make a resolution to prohibit something like that, so we'll have to look at that for the next time.
It's an alternative.
It's an alternative. Just wanted to let you know that if you didn't have a chance to watch the council meeting last night, City Council was able to pass a couple of proclamations, one including breast cancer, which is very important to Councilman Baker, as well as one is domestic violence. I do have my own proclamations here for that, so I'm going to quickly read a few of them. The reason why I'm doing this now is because as exciting and thrilling as council meetings are, it doesn't always make it when we're saying the same kind of thing. So council had their opportunity last night. So for this one, we're going to be talking about domestic violence. Whereas domestic violence is a serious crime that affects people of all races, ages, gender, and income levels, and whereas domestic violence is widespread and affects over 4 million Americans each year, And whereas 1 in 3 Americans have witnessed an incident of domestic violence, and whereas on a typical day there are more than 20,000 phone calls placed to domestic violence hotlines nationwide, and whereas children that grow up in violent homes are believed to be abused and neglected at a higher rate than the national average, whereas nearly 3 out of 4 individuals personally know someone who is or has been a victim of domestic violence, and only a coordinated community effort can put a stop to this heinous crime, and whereas domestic violence costs the nation billions of dollars annually in medical expenses, police and court costs, shelters, foster care, sick leave, absenteeism, non-productivity, and whereas Domestic Violence Awareness Month provides an excellent opportunity for citizens to learn more about preventing domestic violence and to show support for the numerous organizations and individuals who provide critical advocacy, services, and assistance to the victims. Now, therefore, I, Joe Begany, Mayor of the City of Reynoldsburg, proclaim October 2020 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. There's more to it than this. It is, unfortunately, because of COVID and people being in, we have seen a rise in domestic violence in our community. We see it in our courts, and it's something to be aware of. I know that in some ways we try and do what we can here at the city. We recently had a collection of cell phones, older cell phones that can be used for domestic violence shelters, because really that's where you want to make sure that people who are suffering have a place to go and that are safe. So I appreciate council's support in that, and anything that we can do for domestic violence all the way throughout. And this one is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I understand that this is a little bit more meaningful to Councilman Baker. And last night we had a guest speaker who has fought and won. I think she had a much more passionate phraseology on that one, but she has beaten it to this point, and we're thrilled to have her coming in from last night, Ms. Dean. For this one, whereas October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is an annual campaign to increase awareness of this disease, and while we have seen an increase in mammography rates and a decline in deaths, there's more we can do. Whereas the National Breast Cancer Awareness Month remains dedicated to increasing public knowledge about the importance of early detection of breast cancer diagnosis and treatment. And whereas too many women do not utilize mammography at regular intervals, even though research indicates it is the best available method of detection and decreased death rates. And whereas the awareness campaign is sending out several key messages, most notably the American Cancer Society continues to advise women to get an annual mammogram screening once they reach the age of 40. And whereas the National Cancer Institute estimated that 276,480 women in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year, and 42,170 will lose their life to this disease. Whereas we display pink ribbons and wear pink clothing to raise awareness, we also support those courageous fighting breast cancer and honor the lives lost to this disease. Whereas this October we recognize breast cancer survivors, those battling the disease, and their families and friends who are a tireless source of love and encouragement, and applaud the efforts of our medical professionals and researchers working to find a cure for this deadly disease. And whereas the National Breast Cancer Awareness Month is an opportunity to unite all citizens in our community to prevent breast cancer death through increased education and regular screening. Now, therefore, I, Joe Begany, Mayor of the City of Reynoldsburg, Ohio, proclaim October 2020 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Please take a look at some of the local websites. I believe Hannah Ashton Middle School is going to be having a health bus come in to perform mammogram services in the not too distant future, so please pay attention to that if you have not already seen that. But again, it's an important thing for everyone to remain healthy and get that screening done early. So I thank you for all that.
Men and women. Get screened.
So, Stacie, Councilman Baker, you mentioned earlier that I tend to enjoy the Halloween a little bit. So we do have a couple of things coming up. We do have a drive-in movie this Saturday night at Civic Park. It is the Ghostbusters, the original version from 1984. And there's going to be, I think all the tickets are gone, but I'm not sure. I know that they were pretty close to getting out. So if there's still some options out there, go ahead and take a look at our website. But there's going to be staff in costume, lots of staff, including a parks director. And you have to keep an eye out for her, though. So trust me, when you see her, you'll know. But we'll all be out there this Saturday as we get ready to enjoy and kind of kick off a little bit of this holiday season with the movie Ghostbusters, one of my favorite all-time movies, and I will be there in costume. We also have the pumpkin pie pickups this, I believe it's Sunday or Saturday that you can pick up to actually make some creations there. We also have Trunk or Treat from the Reynoldsburg Community Association as well on the 24th from 3 to 6 p.m. at Civic Park. Again, there's going to be some staff members there in costume. just because it's fun. And then we also have Trick or Treat Night, Thursday, October 29th from 6 to 8 p.m. We are also going to be doing some fun things here at City Hall. We're going to be having some opportunities for staff members to get dressed up in their favorite Halloween costumes, either as groups or as an individual. And I won't name names, but apparently some people, maybe the clerk of council or maybe not, has dropped the gauntlet down, and the two of us will be going toe-to-toe with costumes pretty much every day from that Halloween week. So it'll be really curious to see how all that works out, but we're looking forward to that, again, just to have a little bit of fun here at City Hall and in the community in general. So I invite all council members to feel free and pop in.
I actually was going to up the ante just a little bit. It looks like we're going to be in person for the first time since who knows when.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing how it is before Halloween, I'm tempted, and probably I'm going to do it anyway, show up to council in my Halloween costume. So if you're going to be in attendance or watch on Facebook, you might see something hilarious.
I think that would be a great thing. Hopefully we can get as many council members as possible to embrace that a little bit. Because honestly, it's 2020, and at this point, it's all crazy. So let's just have some fun with it. Unfortunately, I don't have any new changes to report from the census. I know that there's some back and forth in the legal world about when the deadline is going to go and if they're still going to accept some things. But there have been no changes since last week, so Reynoldsburg is holding strong at 76.9%.
Didn't they extend that?
We did, but then there's legal things back and forth. Yeah, so we're just kind of all waiting for some things. So, but again, it's always a good thing. I think that we did a great job, and in 2030, which again is a long way off, but it seems like it'll be here eventually. That just means that our next goal is to not only meet 76.9%, to exceed that and get up. My goal is to get up to that 80% mark at least. So we've got that going on.
Because that's resources for the community.
Absolutely.
Big resources.
And it helps everybody all the way across. It is election time. You'll notice that because you're going to have political candidates coming in. You're going to start seeing some signs popping up and things like that. Again, from a code enforcement standpoint, if you do have political signs, if they're in your yard, absolutely fine. But when they're in the city right of way, they are going to be picked up and brought back to City Hall. And we'll do what we can to reach out to the candidates themselves to let them know. But we want to try and keep our city as clean as possible, but at the same time respecting everybody's political viewpoints. Most importantly, though, vote. I plan on voting in person on Election Day. I like my sticker, and I know you can get it when you early vote, but I like that. Something about going on that Election Day. Councilman Baker, what are your plans? Are you going to do the early vote or absentee? What are your thoughts?
We actually got our ballot in the mail. We got ours the day that they sent it out.
Was it the right one?
It was the right one.
Okay.
After I read that article, I looked, I was like, okay, just making sure, because typically I'm like you. I would like to vote on Election Day and in person, but when you have kids, it's, especially in the pandemic, it's a little challenging. And so to be able to balance our schedules, we just did it by mail now. I am going to drop it off just because there's nothing wrong with the mail. I just want to drop it off so I could go up in person and see the people expressing their right to vote and all the political campaign rhetoric going on, because it's entertaining at times. I mean, I've been up there for early vote for quite a while, and you see some stuff that looks like it comes from a cartoon. Just being blunt, but it's always fun and a good time, and whatever political spectrum you're on, always have a good time talking with people on both sides, because you learn something, and so you're never too old to learn anything.
Well, the best and the most important thing is you had a plan and you're going to go ahead and do it. So I'm hopeful that everybody out there is going to go ahead and make sure that they follow through and vote, because again, every election is important and every election is the next most important one. So you want to make sure you go out there and vote. So. I do, again, appreciate you coming in today. I'm happy we were able to arrange the schedule and for you to come in on a Tuesday. So there's no show tomorrow. We're not going to do 2 in 1 week. But we will have a special guest next week. Reynoldsburg City Councilwoman Kristen Bryant will be joining us, and this will be back to our regular Wednesday show. But before we sign off, I just want to ask, do we have any fun questions out there from the world of Facebook?
We did have one more question come in, and it's asking about contracts, and it says, are we giving priority to Reynoldsburg businesses for contracts with the city?
It's when we do have them, if everyone is it's an open bid process, so basically they have the opportunity to go ahead and put that in there. It just depends on what those are. Reynoldsburg does not have a significantly large volume of contracts that are out there, but obviously when we're looking at local owned businesses in Reynoldsburg, then we'd help. So I mean, I know for us the really simple thing is, we've worked with Starstruck for some of our our in-house clothing and masks and things like that. Actually, if you want to hold up your mask, that's one of them right there from Starstruck.
Yep, there we go.
So that's it. Anything that we can do to help out their local business is going to be something that we can try and do. So hopefully when we get back to a normal operating status where we're having some more things going on, that if something does come up in Reynoldsburg, obviously we would love to help support our businesses out here. But that's a good question.
Yeah.
That's it for right now.
That'll be it. All right. Well, for now, that will be all. Councilman Baker.
I actually have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, which Ghostbusters was better, 1, 2, or 3?
Oh, for me, it's just the original Ghostbusters.
Okay.
Yeah, there are some people that'll put in Ghostbusters 2, and because but I think they spread the really good lines out throughout the entire movie. But at the same time, the first one there's just something about that first one that I've always appreciated. That's my favorite, but that doesn't mean anything. The third one with the all-female cast that came out, that had its moments, and that was good too. But it's one of those things, I think if it was just a movie that wasn't Ghostbusters, probably would have been significantly more successful. But I think that people kind of look at the remakes and things like that, and they're not sure how they feel about it. But it was funny. There are some moments in there that you talk about the guy who plays Thor.
Yeah.
I mean, that's you don't get much funnier than that. I think that's one of the things that you kind of saw brought into the Marvel movies at one point in time.
So my last one, Kirk or Picard?
Oh, that's too difficult a question to answer. I don't know.
I'm going to say Picard. I mean, if you're a Kirk fan, kudos to you, but for me, it was Picard.
Yeah, I think for the most part, it's, I think when I was younger, it was a Kirk thing. This is really exciting viewing right here. I think when I was younger, it was definitely more of a Kirk thing, but I think as I get older, I feel it's very much more of a Picard aspect of things. So
I do like him in that commercial with
Mark Hamill.
Mark Hamill,
Yeah.
that is funny.
Tomatoes. All right, so that brings an end to everything. We will see you next week. Thanks again to Councilman Baker. We'll see you all. Please remain safe, stay respectful, and as always, put your shopping carts away. Thanks. We'll see you next week.
Have a good one.